Welcome to our webinar today, Loving Local, Community-Based Programs and Partnerships. This live webinar is being recorded on January the 16th, and we welcome our presenters, Suzanne Banta and Cara Woods from the Henry County Public Library. And before we begin, we would also like to thank the sponsors of KDLA for this webinar, the Institute of Museum and Library Services, IMLS, and LSTA. Take it away. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm Suzanne Banta, and I have been at the Henry County Public Library for 20-something years as the Youth Services Librarian.
I am Cara Woods. I'm the Adult Services Librarian, and I've been at the Henry County Public Library for 4 years now, but I previously worked for a different library for 8 years. So Loving Local is our presentation, and at our library we put a lot of stock in community pride in our programming and our partnerships. Oops, sorry. Just a little information about our community. So we are a rural farming community. Our population is close to 16,000, and our median household income is around 58,000. And we're located right about here. So just a little bit about us so you can kind of get where we're coming from. We have five full-time employees, 12 part-time, and 2 seasonal employees, and our ages range from 16 to 15, or 16 to 50. We moved into a new building in 2020, which functions more like a community center versus just your kind of old school library. We really put a lot of thought into it. We have a big old wall that you can open up, and it creates more of a community space and allows us to really advance our programming. And this is a picture of our staff at our big fall festival, where we all dressed up in our Halloween costumes. And just an overview is that we're going to go over some community partnerships, some programming where we incorporate community partnerships, and in-reach and outreach partnerships in our library.
So this is just a short list of some of the many community partners that we have, and Cara and I are going to just highlight a couple of our favorites and some that we find are really important to our programs. I partner a lot with the schools as a youth services librarian, of course, and the family resource centers are a huge partner for us. We do so many things in the school, and they come to us for so many things, and some of those things we'll talk about a little later. Also currently sit on the board of the Henry County Chamber of Commerce as a library employee, and that me being able to sit on the board, and not just me, but we have always had for several years a library representative on the Chamber of Commerce board, but that has led to so many great programs, including our Loving Local Market that we're going to talk about a little bit more in this presentation, that we're really, really proud of, that has also led to our Fall Festival, which is huge. I also sit on the board of our Kiwanis Club that's been active for about a year and a half, and because I'm there at meetings talking about what the library needs, what the library is doing, things that are really important to us, while also working on programs with them, like our shoe drop that we do every year. That has led to Kiwanis partnering with us to present Longest Day of Play, where they provide a free meal and are on site running games and playing in the foam and doing all kinds of things with the kids. It also has led to our annual breakfast with Santa event that's part of our big winter blowout. They are here at 6 o'clock in the morning. I meet them here and let them into the building, and they fix pancakes and sausage and provide our community with a free event, because we do have lots of breakfast with Santa in the community, but everyone is at a restaurant. So this is to give that experience to some of our families who may not have the money to go to McDonald's or the local family-owned restaurant and have breakfast with Santa. And they have helped us. Like, they did the sign-in table for me this year for Breakfast with Santa, which was great, and our winter reading challenge, which was great. I also wanted to briefly mention that when you're thinking about community partners and partnerships and how they work, you can sometimes think outside the box a little bit too. Our partnership with the theater downstream is not what you think it would be traditionally. They actually use us for some of their printing services. So they print their 11 by 17 posters that they hang up everywhere in the county. And in exchange for those printing services, we get a free ad in all of their playbills for every single one of their plays. And they put on 4 a year, and several have started selling out. So people from all over see a photo of the library and a list of what we do because of that partnership.
I tend to partner as adult services with our Henry County Historical Society. I am also a board member of that just because I'm passionate about history. They've offered for free intro to genealogy classes. We also often get genealogy requests here that we can't fulfill at the library. Maybe we don't have the records, but it's really easy for us to just say, hey, contact them. And then I even sometimes can follow up with the Historical Society and say, we had somebody reach out, do you have anything on that? And there are historical societies located in our clerk's office. So it's very easy for them just to go look up that record. That way we can easily help our patrons with genealogy questions. They also partner with doing programs for us. We've had speakers, which they've helped pay for. And then there's often with libraries and historical societies, a lot of patrons we're all interconnected. Everybody cares about the preservation. We also partner with Second Wind Dreams, which is a local chapter of the national organization. Second Wind Dreams is essentially Make-A-Wish Foundation for seniors. They take and make dreams come true for residents of our local nursing home, assisted living, and the senior center. And the ways we've partnered with them is we have a volunteer here weekly who likes to put kits together. They needed 160 gift bags stuffed for, it's called the Bags of Light. It's gifts for seniors for Christmas. Our volunteer stuffed it for Second Wind Dreams. They came in and put all the bags together for the residents of the nursing homes. That's just one example of that partnership. They often will give us credit for programs that we provide at the nursing home, and they'll post it on their social media page as well. And so it's just a further exposure for us and them. Okay, next up is our Love Local Market. We are actually approaching our 5th year. So the market is a partnership between us and the Chamber of Commerce. It is a market for farmers and artisans that are local. And by local, we mean regional. We don't just stick or have a it can just mean outside of the county for us. We do allow local businesses to set up as well, provided that it's items from Henry County. We always have a food truck. Our season begins on the 4th. Is it April? April, yeah. Sorry, 4th month of the season. So April, and it's the third Friday of every month. It is very important that it is free for vendors to set up. So we don't charge, we don't make any profit. We do get a business license from the city of Eminence in order for our vendors to sell their materials.
That's really our only cost.
That's our only cost. And essentially to attendance is usually around 300 to 400 people every third Friday. It's $100 to get the business license. So it's really our cheapest program probably that we run, cost wise. We do have a user agreement that our vendors do sign that's got the liability waiver in it, and but it's been such a good experience for our community to have somewhere to go. We have live music, which the chamber pays for, so you can come get your food at the food truck. We set up picnic tables outside. People can sit there and listen to music, so you can still come and enjoy the market even if you don't have money to spend at the market.
Yeah, and we the youth services, we don't do it at every single market, but we try really, really hard to set up a table with at least one free activity that families can do together or something. You know, we brought out the button maker, I've brought out robots, we've passed out tote bags for people, so that there is something that you can come to do that is free. And new at the end of last market, which happened after we had put this presentation together, we've actually started keeping the library open, because traditionally Fridays we close at 5 and the market starts at 6. But we've been taking that hour off, and then at 6 we've been reopening the library, specifically our children's area. But that allows some people that have only been here for the markets to come in and see what the library has to offer, because we don't do a whole lot of business. 2 of us can check stuff in and out and answer questions, and families can go play in our children's area. And it's been really nice for our vendors too, because our vendors often bring their kids with them, because it is a really fun, it's become like a family. So they bring their kids with them, and their kids come in and they check in with us inside and do all the activities, and it gives the vendors a little bit of a break so that they can do their actual job, which is really nice. The Love Local Market got so big and so popular, and we were coming up on all of our October events, and we always pass out like trick or treat, do candy everywhere that there's a trick or treat event and stuff like that. But we thought, what? We're doing that, so how about we work smarter, not harder, even though it ended up being harder anyway. And instead of just doing, this craft event and this Halloween party and this thing, why don't we combine that with our Love Local Market that's already a big deal and call it our Fall Festival? And so our October market has actually turned into, there's some pictures from our Love Local Market too. It has, I thought there was an actual, never mind. It has turned into our Fall Festival, which the picture in the beginning of us dressed as mad scientists was from 2 years ago, Haunted House. Our Love Local Fall Festival is not just our market. Our traditional market is set up in our meeting room, but we also invite our community partners from places like the Health Department and Kiwanis and the Lions Club, and NAB vets to come and pass out candy and be a part of the event. And we encourage them to decorate their table and make it really fun. Our friends of the library always come and traditionally set up a game for the kids to play. And then the library staff turns our back office area that nobody ever gets to see into a haunted house. It has turned into our biggest program of the year. In 2020, and it involves the whole staff. I will say that every single staff member last year worked the Fall Festival in some way. Our director was outside. He hired a hot air balloon, and the weather was perfect, and we actually got to take rides in the hot air balloon. So he was outside with the hot air balloon. A lot of the staff is in the haunted house. Cara's working with the vendors and making sure, because the kids can trick or treat with the vendors too, and they love it. So she was making sure vendors who ran out of candy had extra candy, and things were running smoothly over there. Someone from my staff is running a costume contest. Like, we're just everywhere. So we couldn't do it without the whole staff, but we also couldn't do it without our vendors who are willing to come and decorate their booths and pass out candy, and all of our partners that we work with throughout the year who are coming to pass out candy. And also new this year, we have a history with the Kentucky Renaissance Fair in various ways. Some of us have worked there, some of us have been vendors there. But some of the cast members actually came and volunteered their time to be in our haunted house this year. So not only as a staff is it this huge partnership of each of our departments working together to pull off this huge event, it is also the Chamber of Commerce and the Ren Fair and everybody else in the community. In 2024, we had an estimated, and this is estimated because some people just rode the hot air balloon and left, but we estimate we had about 1,600 people come to our fall festival. Yeah, I can talk about the story walk. The story walk we didn't mention the extension office earlier, but they are a huge partner with us. We've done various programs with them, and they've provided space for us. We provided space for them. We work closely together. I am on committees with a lot of the people at the extension office. So, but our story walk came about as a partnership with the extension office. I just happened to be in the Chamber of Commerce's leadership program at the same time as their new consumer sciences agent. I can't remember her total title, but she had wanted to do a story walk, and I had wanted to do a story walk separately. And because we were going out in the community and we were working with the chamber and we were in this program together, we had a conversation. And when we were in there having the conversation, we were like, well, then why don't we just do it? And I don't know what, 6 months later, we had a story walk. But Krista and I both wanted very much for it to be something special for the community. We lucked out in that there was already an existing walking trail at a community park that we could set it up on. So that's how we had to invite others into the conversation. So it became not just our passion project, but we also met with our county judge executive and our Parks and Recreation department to say, we want to do this thing. We think it would be really good for the community. And they were 100% on board. The judge executive was so excited about it that even though it didn't have to be taken before our fiscal court is any kind of vote or anything, but he just thought it was going to be such a big deal and was so excited about it that he wanted them to know that this thing was coming in the community. So it ended up being talked about at fiscal court meetings and ended up being in the paper because of that while we were designing it. And the story of our story walk is very important to me because it became not just a partnership between the three of us, but it also became a partnership between a former family that we had. We had a young patron who in 2020 was diagnosed with brain cancer that she succumbed to, but her wish and Make-A-Wish was to publish a book. And so she wrote a book called Drippy, the Sad Rain Cloud, that has a very good story. And we were able to work with her family and with the Make-A-Wish Foundation to make that our first story walk. The story walk could not have happened the way it did without that family, without Wynn's family and Make-A-Wish and the Parks and Recreation Department and the library staff coming together to literally put sweat into equity into this project, because Parks and Recreation Department met us at the park with the full-time staff in the youth services department who dug the holes and poured the concrete and set the post and put this this thing into motion. And then we had this huge ribbon cutting, which is what's in the paper, where the paper came and they wrote this great story and we got all this great exposure. And one of our local ice cream like the ice cream parlor came with their ice cream truck, and they were supposed to donate so many scoops of ice cream to be free, but instead they donated all the ice cream to this event, and they brought pumpkins with them for the kids to paint. And we ran out of all the supplies because so many people came to this event. But the reason that so many people came, which I think is a testament to why partnerships are so important, is because everybody was talking about it. They were talking about it at the Extension Office. They were talking about it at Jericho Farms. They were talking about it in Fiscal Court and at the Judge Executive's office. And so the Chamber of Commerce kept talking about it because she was coming to do the ribbon cutting for us. So there were so many conversations going on about the story walk because of the partnerships, which is why we had such an insane amount of people at our event for the ribbon cutting. It was amazing. And the weather was nice, which is unique for October. It was a good day. And we just think Krista and I are getting ready to partner with our junior ROTC so that we can give them the panels and they can start changing the panels out for us, which will be really nice. Oh gosh, this is me too. Our big winter blowout also happens because of partnership. What you see in the picture is our meeting space plus what is generally our nonfiction space. We have are lucky enough to have some shelves that are on wheels that we can move out of the way. Our big winter blowout is a huge event. It's an annual event. This December will be, we just had our 8th, I guess. Oh my gosh. We just had our 8th big winter blowout. And it's grown and expanded and changed so much over the years. But now that we're in this building and we can move things around and move furniture and stuff like that, it's become a huge day-long event. But this event would not be possible without our community partners and our friends coming together to make this happen. As I mentioned before, Kiwanis now provides a free breakfast with Santa. They do all the labor, they do all the setup, they do all the work. And this year, all I did for breakfast with Santa is provide some coloring pages for the table to keep people busy. And we had so many people that came for breakfast that when Santa called and said he was running a few minutes late, we may have panicked a little bit because there were a lot of people there. But in addition to Kiwanis doing this great thing for us, and in addition to a very large portion of the staff coming together to make this event work, not just my department, but I mean, our IT services guy makes gingerbread houses with the kids all day long. Like, it's everybody. Our family resource centers also have become our partners in this program. So all of our family resource center coordinators come from each of the 3 elementary schools, or 4, there's 4, each of the 4 elementary schools. And they each either set up their own activity for the kids, or they just run one of the activities that I've already planned. So that frees up our staff to do other things, and it gives them some face-to-face time with their families outside of the school setting, which they feel like is really important for them. They did the sign-in table the first year for me, which is really nice for us because we hardly ever have enough staff to do a sign-in table. This year, Kiwanis ran the sign-in table for the bulk of the event for us, which was really nice. And then our friends at the library are always at the event, and they always make sure that each kid who comes to this event walks away with a book. So not only if they come see Santa, are they getting a book from Santa, they're also getting a book and a craft kit. And I think this year they had hot chocolate kits for the kids to give away. And I also, in like any other community partner that calls me and like, can we come to this event? I always say yes. So it's so much fun too.
Great. I know most of us have heard of a seed library. Last year we partnered with one of our local farm supply, and they ordered our seeds for us versus doing a consortium. This way the money stayed local. It went back to our farm store, and we were able to put their names saying that all the seeds were sourced from Parker's Farm Supply. We put out cards that had their information on it. And then we gave out over 1,000 packets of seeds. And so that was, 1,000 packets with their information on it as well. And then we really like the fact that we are supporting local. We're exploring some avenues we have several places that sell seeds in Henry County since we are a large farming community. We're exploring options of ordering from a different business this year. So you can also do partnerships through your programming with something I like to call micro partnerships. A partnership can be just a one-time deal. One of my more popular programs was butter making, where we made our own butter and then we used local bread and jams to taste test. The breads came from Jericho Farms, Farmstead Market, and one of my local farmers market vendors that actually attends our Love Local market. A lot of them had no idea, when some people isolate into one side of the county, they may not travel to the other side of the county, but once they find out that's where you can get the good bread at. And they gave us, several of the vendors gave us a discount on our bread and our jellies. Another one is our local coffee tasting. We did a coffee tasting of not just from Henry County, but outside of our county, but the surrounding counties have several coffee shops. So we went and got 3 or 4 different coffees, did that.
Yeah, and all locally family owned and operated.
Yes.
So no Starbucks.
Yeah.
But
we did a charcuterie box program that included local honey. It was so good, yes. She actually had never thought about doing miniature jars of honey. And I asked her, she's like, yeah, I think we can do that. And it turned out that they are now doing that for weddings and anniversaries. So you can actually contact her and she'll do jars of honey as wedding favors. But that all started through a partnership with Moonlight Farms, which was really cool. She's also a vendor at our Love Local market. So now, you just never know what's going to come up. But it was, a one-time thing. And I would encourage you that even if you maybe don't have the budget to buy local jars of honey, you can easily buy for your program a jar of honey from the vendor and, split it up into little condiment cups. But that way it's still staying local. You're supporting your vendors and then they get their name out as well. It's a great partnership. Partnerships can be as small or as grand as needed.
One of the things, my programs are not always about buying local just because of the nature of the supplies that I need for the programs. But one thing that I have tried to do over the years is to create some pride in place through our programs, because Cara and I both grew up in this community and grew up not loving where we were from and thinking we couldn't wait to get out of here. Yeah. And then now as adults, we're like, you just couldn't recognize it, because the kids in our community a lot of times grow up not knowing that there's such great things in this community and that there are things to be proud of, because we are small and we are rural, and there's been a history of there not being pride in where you're from as you grow up. So a few things that, and Cara does this too. She's done some really great, like her Love Local tumblers were so expensive or so popular. They did, you could get Henry County on your tumbler and stickers and stuff. Like it was very well attended. I've done a Pride in Place painting project where we talk about being proud of where you're from. We watch a TED Talk called A Danger of a Single Story that you can tie into this project if you're working with older kids. But I let them trace we did the outline of our county, which is kind of weird it's an interesting outline for a county. And then oh, there, look, there's her
Yeah,
tumblers.
there's the black one.
And they got to paint. Actually, one of their projects is down in the corner. It's a little tractor there. But they got to paint what they were proud of about the community. And I did it with high schoolers, and it was really cool. Some other things that I have done, we have a learning depot set up where families can come in and just play, and all the activities that are set up are, based on school readiness and learning, but learning in such a fun way that they don't know they're learning. And each of our learning depots, and we set it up for 3 months at a time with a theme. One of our favorite themes has been a farmer's market that we set up that we then could tie into our Love Local market. We talked about loving local in the farmers market and promoted some of our local stuff. Some of our depots, our extension office has come in and set up activities. They did like a seed sprouting activity at one point, which also promoted their garden club. So those two things worked hand in hand together. So our learning depot, I'm gonna look at my list so I don't forget something. Our learning depot is one of the ways we do that. We promoted Pride in Place because we celebrated Won't You Be My Neighbor Day last year, and the kids built a neighborhood. We had little boxes that they decorated. I was really proud because several of them made libraries because we talked about what's important to be in your neighborhood. We made a community quilt using cardstock quilt squares, and we just talked about what it's like to love each other. And then we promote Pride in our county during the summer, both Cara and I, through our summer learning program, by having a Henry County Hero badge that everybody can earn. The Henry County Hero badge is down in the corner. There's our bookmobile, which we need to redo because we have a new one. Our courthouse and the sheep that live in our children's area. But the kids can read a book about a local community, like a community helper, and then write a thank you note to a local community helper. They can, one of the things is to attend a library program or a market or a local event or fair. And it could be anything. It could be, Newcastle Day, or it could be the Renaissance Fair. It could really be anything as long as it's local. Oh gosh, and I just looked at this and I can't remember what all the things are. We did a bingo card last year where you could visit some spots in the county and play at a park and do some fun stuff like that. So it tries to let people or encourage people to explore our county and see what's available to offer.
We also do something called in-reach and outreach. So for the in-reach, I know traditionally you don't do private tour or private groups. However, we have had several groups such as our Kentucky Retired Teachers Association, local church groups, the homemakers group, asked if we could do a program for them. And I just agreed. We set it up at a time when we had nothing else going on. I just did a repetitive craft that I've already done, such as glass etching. And oftentimes it is those community members that are involved in more than one organization. They're your biggest supporters in the community. They're the ones that are going to be at fiscal court meetings that say, hey, my library is doing great things. And it's because maybe they don't come in as often because they live such busy lives. However, it's those homemakers, those retired teachers that are going to be your advocates when you need them. So I just, bring them in. I give them a tour of our library, say, hey, this is what's going on. I still have one of our retired teachers. Every time I see her in the community, just everywhere, it seems like, she tells me how we did cookie jars where you build your cookie mixes in the jars. She did that with her grandchildren and they entered it in the 4-H. And every time I see her, she's like, oh, we did the cookie jars again. Or she just tells me about that experience. I guess it really meant a lot to her. And, it's that word of mouth, those partnerships of us doing something that wouldn't traditionally be done, is what I think really is creating support in our community for us. So think outside the box. Like, I love that, Suzanne. You know, maybe go to these groups in your community that you know they're kind of the movers and shakers, that if the ball drops, they're going to have your backs. Make, you know, say, hey, I'm going to do this program for you. I think it's a really good way of showing that you support them, they'll support you in return, which is what we're looking for in partnerships.
We also, in that same kind of in-reach vein, as the youth services librarian, my goal is always to get every single student in the community, and we have 2 school systems, so every single student in those 2 school systems in this building, if I can do it. I've yet to get every single person in the building, but might be a little overwhelming if we do. But so we open up our building to field trips and family nights. My favorite was the year that I got the entire senior class at Henry County Public Schools in this building. The principal actually paid for the field trip, and they came through their English classes and they got a tour of the library and with me, and then they got to hang out, and because their English teacher wanted them to know that the library, no matter where they were at, their local library was always going to be a resource for them, and it wasn't just for story times when they were little, that it was something that could continue with them through their whole life, because she brought her kids in here forever, and I've watched her kids grow up. But and part, you know, you think it's not a big deal to have that field trip come in, but it was a huge deal because those kids came in here with a preconceived notion of what this building was going to be like and what we were going to have to offer. And as soon as I was like, we have people who, because we have lots of places in this community who are internet deserts, and I was like, you can bring your PlayStation in here and do all your upgrades so much faster than you could at home, and you can do it from the side porch because there's you know, electricity out there. And they were so excited, and a couple of them left. She said the conversations on the bus when they left were really interesting because they were all talking about, well, I didn't know it was going to be this way. One kid was like, gosh, I feel like we just went to a museum or something because there were so many things there. And they got to play in the Learning Depot too, so they all wanted to come back and play. But it was, and several of them came back in later and got library cards, and it was a huge deal. And not just that, but the people who were in here, who were in the library listening to me give this tour, were listening to what I was saying and talking about how the library was for everybody and talking about services and resources that they didn't know we had, where all got something out of it too, because they had conversations with me later. Both of our preschool programs in our county host their winter family nights here instead of at the schools. So those families get a sneak peek at what the library looks like, and we usually provide a fun activity and they can play in the Learning Depot, and I provide whatever they need, not just the space, and I'm there those nights so the parents can meet me and talk to me. Kindergarten registration, which is actually coming up in a couple months, we host a kindergarten registration night with Henry County Public Schools. So every incoming kindergartner in the county is invited, or in the county system is invited to come here that night, fill out all their paperwork, make copies of their birth certificates and their immunization forms and all the copies of the things that they need, while the kids get, they get to watch a magic show, or they get to play in the bouncy house, or they get ice cream, or whatever the theme of the program is. And all of those families with incoming kindergartners get to see the library, many of them for the first time. We host an annual Family Latino night here. We had a sensory-friendly movie day, because what has happened, because we're so open to saying yes, or even when we can't say yes, it's a no, but, how can we make this happen? And because the cost of, having a bus driver is more and things like that, we've also become a field trip destination. So now, instead of driving all the way to Louisville to go to a movie, some of our classrooms are coming here to do sensory-friendly movie days on our big screen, and we provide the popcorn. Our preschool, Henry County Early Childhood Center, actually, they do lots of field trips, but some of their field trips, they have cut cost by coming here 3 times a year for special events. It's always a really exciting day here, but they come.
So one thing we do try to do is have a huge presence in our community. For such a small county, we have 8 community days. Each small town likes to have their own day. So we do try to make sure that we have a table at each day. We have a bookmobile. So every single parade that takes place in Henry County, that allows vehicles, we have our bookmobile in the parade. We've actually had a bubble machine, and as the bookmobile was going down the street in the parade, you would see bubbles like just coming out. We try to make it as fun as possible. Our largest event is the Harvest Showcase. It's where essentially a huge farmers market and local businesses and nonprofits set up. Suzanne outdoes herself every year for the Harvest Showcase.
We're now in charge of the kids zone.
Yes, we just so well. She got more work. We have a kids zone. We have the big blue blocks that we set up, and then Suzanne thinks of several creative STEM.
And then we get to take the bookmobile too.
Yes, and
cool.
We do take the bookmobile and have people get in and they can check out books right then and there. We have a Wi-Fi spot on our bookmobile too, which is nice. So it's just, and we have so many people come up and we hand out calendars during that, talk to people, and some of them will come back in to the library. So
yeah, it's a very important event for us, and the community days are very important because that community outreach makes you visible in the community, and the more you're visible, not only are the more likely that people are going to come to your library to see you and visit and see what you actually do in-house, but it also, makes you, I don't want to say more relevant, but more, I don't know, it's a little bit easier to pay your taxes when you we're out, you see them and work, and you see how busy the library is, and you see us everywhere doing things, and it really has been the best way for us to have such a good reputation. I'm always at the schools. Everybody knows I'm always at the schools. So that's important. But I think it's more important to talk about not only have we created a situation where people are calling us to come be at their community events, but we also wanted to be a space for community events. So when somebody's thinking about having a community baby shower or a car show, we want the library to be the first place that they think about as this is a place to do it. So the library, I am on the planning committee, full disclosure, for the community baby shower, but we host the community baby shower every year, which is not just a great way for us to get people in the library, but I've also formed so many new partnerships by going around and talking to the different people who have been invited to the baby shower. The chamber hosts networking events at the library, which brings in chamber members, new members. I've met so many cool people at chamber networking events. So please take advantage of those in your community if you're not already. And then new this year, which hadn't happened when we first put this presentation together, the health department was looking for a place to do a car show to raise awareness of some of the things they do in a really fun and interesting way. And so they reached out to us, and we actually had a car show at the library, which was really interesting experience.
Yeah,
in many ways. Yeah. And here's some fun pictures.
Yeah, these are just some pictures. This is
of my favorite outreach event.
Yeah. We do trailer treats with our bookmobile where we dress up in our Halloween costumes and pass out candy. This is us at Light Up Imminence, and then this is a craft at the local assisted living.
That's my assistant, Miss Sarah, and I reading with Elephant and Piggy at one of those field trips, because often when the Early Childhood Center brings the field trip, they also rent some costumes And that was our that we were taking intermission. That was movie day, and we had intermission at movies so we could have a group bathroom break, really. And the kids got to do a little craft, and then Miss Sarah and I read the book as Elephant and Piggy, while Elephant and Piggy reenacted the story. And each of the kids, the Early Childhood Center, there was a grant that paid for each of the kids to get the book that we read too. So they got to each get a book. So that was a really fun day. And I got to read with Elephant and Piggy.
And if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat box and we'll try to answer it.
Thank you both so much. That's so much great information that you shared with us. And while people are thinking about the questions that they want to add into the chat, I wanted to ask you about the big winter blowout. Is that on a Saturday?
It is on a Saturday.
Okay. Is it before school gets out, or is it over break?
No, it is before school gets out. It is, it's traditionally the second Saturday in the month, although I would like to try to move it to the first next year. But I have to work around light up Emmets because I don't want those two things to happen in the same day because we're located in Emmets. But it is a Saturday, and it is a whole day long thing. When we were at the old building and we didn't have as much space, we would have like Santa would come at this time, and then we'd have this specific craft at this time, and watch a specific movie at this time. But now we have better space, and we actually, when we built the space, we planned it for programs like the Big Winter Blowout, so we can have gingerbread houses going all day instead of an hour. But yeah, it's always a Saturday, always a day-long event. And breakfast even starts before we open. So they serve breakfast an hour before we open, which we may have to change last year because breakfast is becoming bigger than we thought it was. But have to rethink some things.
Tell us.
And I will say we have been doing it for years.
Mm-hmm. So you've honed it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about the 8 community days. You said each one is a different community in the county.
Yeah.
And like how did that come about and how does it work?
Well,
I remember being in a parade in Smithfield Day when I was in elementary school. So they've been going forever.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like just a county, like every small town likes to maybe try to outshine each other. But so we have Camelsburg Day, we have Pleasureville Day, we have Smithfield Day, we have Eminence Day. I don't know, there's so many. I could keep. Yeah, there's Harvest Showcase.
Is it like a little Love Local market for the day?
Or? And they're throughout the year. So
there's always a parade, always vendors.
Yeah.
We try to have the bookmobile in all the parades.
Yeah.
And then we usually, depending on what we're doing, or which community it is, some communities we just take a table and pass out brochures and ink pens and stickers. If it's one of the bigger community events, and a lot of times we're asked to do it, we'll offer some extra activities. For last Independence Day, we were asked to help create like a kids zone, so we brought some crafts. It ended up being like ridiculously hot, but so I brought 2 crafts. We brought some of our like giant Connect 4 and stuff like that with us. At the time, our bookmobile was out of service, or we would have taken the bookmobile, like it would have sat with us all day for the kids to go in. So it just depends which event we're doing and what we've been asked to do. But.
And I think as we've gotten out into the community, more and more organizations are asking us to join them. And it can be something simple. Our local Arts and Crafts Guild have just recently asked us if we would come do a craft with the children at their yearly show. That's not something traditionally you would see a library at, but we were like, yeah, sure. So we did tiny art, canvas art, and we had little model magic where you can make your own sculpture. And
Cara had a cool project for adults too.
And for adults, we did air plant magnets. Everybody loves the air plants. If you haven't got on that program yet, I highly encourage you.
but it gave us an audience of people who were shopping at the Arts and Crafts Guild that may not have known what we do, what we exist.
Mhm.
You know, they were having conversations with Cara and I about what was going on in the library, saying, oh, I didn't know that thing existed. We met some vendors so we could say, hey, you should come and set up at our Love Local Market. And it really strengthened that relationship that we have with our Arts and Crafts Guild, where, you know, if we want to do a painting project, but neither one of us are, you know, that neither one of us that's in our wheelhouse, then we now have a list of people we can call to say, hey, can you come lead a painting project for us? Or, I don't know, come talk to us about your really cool wood turn bowls, which are my favorite thing. But, and, you know, it's, like the community events, the Arts and Crafts Guild, things like that. It's just really important for us to get out in the community, to have those conversations and talk to people that we would normally meet. Also, I will tell you, it's an ego boost too for us when we do see people there. Like, it's nice to go out and hear people say, oh my gosh, yeah, the library's great and we love coming, and, or, you know, my kids love story time when they were little, or, you know, as Cara said earlier, you know, I did this project at the library and we loved it and it impacted me in that way. So it's also a way to collect those stories, and it's good for staff, for all the staff, to hear those stories and hear that really difference that you're making.
That's great. It's great that you're sharing that and able to share that together as a community. You know, it sounds like it would be very rewarding too. And there's a lot of positive energy in your presentation surrounding your activities, you know, so that's wonderful. Are there any other notes that anybody wants to add in the chat, or things that they've tried or that they want to try based on the discussion?